Hello and welcome back to the Movie Memo Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 2008 movie titled Transporter 3. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead. The movie opens with a cargo ship carrying dozens of containers, and two officials enter one after spotting a leak. When they open a drum within the container, they are shocked to discover that the chemical liquid inside rapidly corrodes their faces, killing them. After receiving the report, the captain immediately begins a cleanup with equipment and disposes of the two crew members by tossing them into the water. We are then introduced to Inspector Turconi fishing with Frank Martin, a former Special Forces turned chauffeur. Simultaneously, a man named Malcolm and a woman named Valentina have just stepped off a ship. Unexpectedly, a police officer requests that they exit the car, prompting them to flee. As a result, Frank and Turconi must shorten their vacation since Turconi's boss summons him to examine a case, despite the fact that Frank has recently made a huge catch. A luxury airplane has just landed neatly on the runway, followed by a Mafia boss named Johnson, who confidently disembarks from the plane, accompanied by his three devoted minions. At that point, Johnson, who oozes power and influence, approaches the immigration officer on duty at the airport. Johnson tells the immigration officer in a convincing tone that his trip to France is for business. Johnson also emphasizes that the company focuses on environmental conservation, which seems wonderful and vital. A minister named Leonid enters the scene, preparing to inaugurate a European Union meeting on industrial waste pollution and environmental issues in Odessa the following day. When Leonid returns to his workplace, he finds a mystery box including a cell phone, which promptly receives a call from Johnson. During the call, Johnson informs Leonid that he has evidence of the minister's misdeeds in awarding business permits in Ukraine, which surprises Leonid when he examines the documents. On the other hand, Frank is relaxing at home by watching television. Simultaneously, a car crashes into his house with immense force, startling him. This unexpected incident shatters Frank's peace and creates mayhem around him. Fearful and unsure of what to do, Frank quickly grabs the phone and dials an ambulance for medical assistance. An injured Malcolm is the car that slammed into Frank's house. Frank quickly recalls a past incident in which a syndicate had offered him a position but later declined it. Instead, Frank recommended that the syndicate hire Malcolm. Frank's rejection of the syndicate's offer, as well as his idea, had major ramifications. Because of that rejection, Frank is now dealing with the consequences of his decision, as well as an increasingly complex and perilous position. Malcolm, in a semi-conscious state, begs Frank not to remove him from the car, but Frank is unable to understand his message. When the ambulance arrives, they immediately take Malcolm away, leaving Frank surprised to see a woman in the backseat of the car. When she regains consciousness, the woman refuses to leave the car because she is wearing an explosive bracelet, which might cause an explosion if she goes too far away from it. Frank realizes this and rushes to stop the ambulance, but it is too late. Someone struck Frank when he returned home, causing him to lose consciousness. When Frank regained consciousness, he found himself in bed, wearing the explosive bracelet. It was revealed that Johnson was the gang leader, forcing Frank to carry out his orders to deliver a box. Frank had previously vanquished one of Johnson's guys, who persists in talking until Johnson shoots him. Frank grudgingly agrees to take the job but insists on driving his own car. Johnson wants Frank to go with Valentina, and when Frank insists on working alone, Johnson attempts to shoot Valentina. This prompted Frank to overturn his decision and ride with her. It turned out that the explosives bracelet they were wearing included a color-coded alert system that indicated Frank's distance from his car. If he was 25 meters away from the car, the bracelet would light up yellow. At a distance of 50 meters, an orange light would illuminate, and at 75 meters, a red light would flash, indicating a critical condition. As Frank began his trek, he became upset and attempted to ask Valentina about the situation and the possible solution. However, Valentina chose to remain silent, providing no explanations or information, adding to Frank's anxiety and perplexity as he faced this frightening position. On the other hand, a tanker ship carrying hazardous cargo is visible as it approaches the harbor. Meanwhile, Turconi arrives at Frank's house to examine the recent happenings. Two Johnson employees hijacked a tow truck hauling Malcolm's car. They swiftly extracted a vital item from the tow truck, which could hold critical information or equipment relevant to their goals. Frank, under immense pressure, struggled to answer his question. Valentina's decision to remain silent and provide no relevant information exacerbated the situation. During his investigation, Turconi discovered the license plate number of the car used by individuals who intercepted the tow truck. Moreover, the removal of the GPS from the car proved to be a valuable clue in tracing and identifying the involved network. On the other hand, Leonid had to sign a contract with the corporation, which included 8 cargo ships they planned to deploy. This issue put the minister under strain, therefore, he was unable to sign the contract that day. However, the next day, during the European Union summit in Odessa, the ship captain reported the hazardous leak to his supervisor, while Leonid appeared to have assigned a trusted member to assist him. Turconi's research leads him to a black Mercedes that does not belong to Frank and is traveling toward Germany. Frank planned to meet with a friend named Otto to find out more about the explosive bracelet. Unfortunately, his movements are followed by a gadget implanted in his car, exposing that Frank diverted from the intended itinerary. As a result, Johnson instructs his guys to get Frank back on track. When Frank arrives at Otto's workshop, he obtains important information about magnetic resolution technology, which appears to have come from the Pentagon. Otto then begins searching for the transmission plate inside Frank's car, hoping to find the critical component that will reveal more information about the issue. However, Johnson unexpectedly sends a group of people to attack Frank. They enter the workshop with the clear goal of hindering Frank and Otto. Faced with this threat, Frank once again exhibits outstanding skill and bravery, quickly neutralizing the intruders, impressing Valentina, and leaving her in amazement. The scenario grows more difficult when a highly competent and powerful enforcer appears, overwhelming Frank. This enforcer confronts Frank with a far greater challenge, intensifying the existing conflict and exacerbating an already tense situation. Fortunately, Otto locates the transmitter, but he knows that disconnecting it will cause Frank to explode because of the bomb tied to him. In this dangerous scenario, Otto must exercise tremendous caution and carefully analyze each step to safeguard Frank's safety. When Johnson arrives at the appointed place, he immediately contacts Frank, expresses his extreme disappointment with his behavior, and chooses to dismiss him from the mission. Someone takes over Frank's car unexpectedly, leaving him confused and unprepared. In a difficult situation, Frank grabs a BMX bike and promptly tracks after the stolen car. Frank is also aware that if he travels more than 75 meters from his car, the linked bomb will detonate, posing a significant risk. Frank uses speed and agility to catch up with the car and avert the explosion that could destroy everything. Fortunately, Frank regains control of his control and quickly contacts Johnson, informing him that he is okay and has not died, contrary to Johnson's predictions with the bomb wristband. However, this time, Frank does more than just report his condition, he also tapes his talk with Johnson and transmits it to Turconi. In the recording, Frank requests that Turconi identify Johnson in the hopes that this information will assist him in learning more about the Mafia boss's identity and the network involved. During the ride, Frank stops at a petrol station to refuel, while Valentina purchases a bottle of water from a neighboring convenience store. A black Mercedes soon arrives at the scene. The driver of the car notices Valentina and quickly begins pursuing Frank, adding to the stress in the increasingly heated situation. Frank then phones Johnson again, hoping to learn more about who they are and their genuine objectives. Frank's driving abilities are remarkable as he attempts to elude pursuit and deflect the attention of his followers. He expertly navigates between two closely running container trucks with exceptional dexterity, executing a daring and high-risk maneuver. After passing the trucks, Frank steers his car toward the forest, believing that the tough terrain will give cover and an escape route. However, his pursuers do not give up easily, and they continue to chase Frank while shooting at his car from behind, attempting to halt his voyage by any means necessary. Fortunately, Frank quickly reverses the situation, driving their car off a cliff and causing it to explode. Frank temporarily feels fatigued, and Valentina attempts to calm and relax him. Frank then opens the item, revealing it to be nothing more than a phone book. As a result, Frank understands Valentina is the actual package. During the tension, Valentina teases Frank, resulting in a moment of closeness between them. Johnson, on the other hand, is seen calling the minister to inform him that he has sent someone who has almost put his daughter in danger. During this conversation, it becomes clear that Valentina is Leonid's daughter. Valentina also recounts her experience of ending up in a nightclub, where someone took her away after she got drugged. Malcolm was her driver at the time. Valentina tried to reach her father via a phone booth, but the pursuit interrupted their conversation, leading Malcolm to decide to smash the car into Frank's home. Soon after, Johnson provides Frank with new coordinates, and Turconi meets with the minister, who is preparing to attend the summit. After understanding that the matter involved his daughter, he discovers that Valentina was going to be taken to Bucharest. However, they arrived in Odessa earlier this morning, which led Leonid to agree to collaborate with Turconi. Simultaneously, they drive Frank to a location on a bridge, where Johnson's soldiers have already encircled them. They then instruct Frank to send Valentina from his car. After they take Valentina, Frank is shot at until he chooses to drive his car off the bridge. Frank, unable to leave his car, uses the package bag to raise it. Following that, Johnson makes the decision to board a train, attempting to evade any incoming threat. Johnson's decision to board the train serves a purpose. He wants to guarantee the minister's signature on the contract, ensuring his daughter's safety. Not long after, Turconi meets Frank, who is shown reclining on top of his car, attempting to clear his head amid the turmoil. Frank informs Turconi about the grave threat the poisonous waste involved poses. Turconi asserts that improper management of the poisonous waste could potentially pollute half of the country for a century. Furthermore, the minister has scheduled the contract signing for 9 a.m. As a result, Frank flies his car onto the train and starts an attack, eliminating Johnson's soldiers. However, when it's Johnson's turn, Frank is too far away from his car, so he should return to it before flying it into the carriage. This time, Frank successfully removes the explosive bracelet and neatly secures it on Johnson's wrist. After finishing this, Frank hurriedly drives his car out of the location, creating a large explosion from the bomb that was strapped on Johnson's wrist. Turconi then phones the minister to inform him that his daughter is safe. Relieved by the excellent news, Leonid promptly takes action, tearing up the contract he was ready to sign. The minister then returns to the conference to inform everyone about the dangers of doing business with the involved group. On the other hand, the water police successfully intercepted the cargo ship engaged in illicit activity. With everything under control, Turconi returns to fishing with Frank, seeking relaxation after a series of tense occurrences. This time, Valentina joins them in their leisurely activity. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.